YouTube is live. Hello, YouTube.
Yay.
Hello, YouTube. Sorry.
Now you're all no-tuny.
If we're singing, I'm going the full Carol Channing.
Yeah.
Jam tomorrow, jam yesterday.
Wait till the post show where I do Elaine Stritch and Here's to the Ladies Who Lunch.
Oh, nice. Some Sondheim in there.
Yeah.
I do a pretty good Ethel Merman doing news impression, though.
Oh, it's going to be a fun post show today.
Yeah,
I just do a mean Christopher Walken doing Hotspur from Henry IV Part 1.
Oh, that's pretty good. When
Oh my gosh.
When I yell, I've got me a Chrysler, it seats about 20, and then no one likes it, then you can do that and make it.
I just had the most amazing thing happen to me, and now we're going to start the show. But what happened was the YouTube went live in another window, and all I heard was, "Hello, YouTube!" My own voice coming back to me. All right, I'm going mute. Bryce, Scott will play the clips once he recovers. And
Okay.
Have a good show, everybody.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Recording it.
Right.
Apple. I guess I assume it's Apple. I don't know.
And
All
Bryce,
right.
you're recording, right?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Starting in 3, 2.
Oh, crap. Sorry. Hang on. Wrong tab. Okay, here we go. Well, give me another 3, 2, will you?
Sure. Hold on. Right, ready. Starting in 3, 2.
This podcast is made possible by listeners like you at patreon.com/acedetect. Offer void where prohibited. Your mileage may vary. Product may contain nuts.
This is the Daily Tech News Show for Wednesday, August 19th, 2015. I'm Scott Johnson. Joining me today, Jonathan Strickland, back for Substitution Tom Day. What's going on over there, buddy?
It's a great day when you and I get to work together, Scott.
I always look forward to it. It's another one of those moments where they told me, our crack producers, who have nothing to do with crack cocaine, I'm talking about how well they do their job.
Sure.
They let me know, guess what? You're with John again on Wednesday, and I got super excited. So I am stoked to have you here, man.
I'll give you a little secret here, Scott. Peek behind the curtain. I actually had my pick of who I would get to work with.
Uh-huh. And you
Just-
picked me?
You were like number 3 on the list.
Oh,
No, I chose you, Scott. I chose you.
I would be happy to be 4th, even 5th. So
No.
pleasure having you here. Of course, Tom's still away. He's in Detroit. Hopefully getting a picture of him in front of the big RoboCop statue. If he doesn't do that, we're doing this all wrong. We'll hear all about that when he gets back. But before we get to any of that stuff, how about... Oh, that's the wrong file. How about a little news? All right, let's get right into the headlines here, folks. Check this out. Reuters reports that a group known as Impact Team... No, they are not teenagers with cool suits who fight alien robots. Has released a huge cache of customer information online after hacking into Ashley Madison and Established Men last month. For those that don't know, both those sites are owned by the same folks. Wired reports that approximately 9.7 gigabytes of data were posted and appear to include member account and credit card details of people who signed up to websites designed to facilitate extramarital affairs and connect with young women with older, richer men. Impact Team wrote that Avid Life Media has failed to take down Ashley Madison and Established Men. We have explained the fraud, deceit, and stupidity of ALM, that's Avid Life Media, and their members. Now everyone gets to see that data. Avid Life did not respond to Reuters' request for comment. Analysts expect a dramatic increase in the use of, quote, the guys at the office signed me up as a prank, unquote, or honey, I'm just a victim of identity theft in the days and weeks to come.
Sad trombone. Well, as the last wistful vacationers cling to their beach blankets and the band starts tuning up their instruments for that Labor Day parade, so we begin to hear the faint cry of fall in the form of Apple rumors.
Whoa.
9 to 5 Mac reports that reliable analyst Ming-Chi Kuo of KGI Securities has heard that the long-rumored 12.0-inch iPad Pro will feature Force Touch stylus support, as well as an optional lightning charging stylus. KGI predicts that the tablet will go into production between September and October, and that Apple could sell up to as many as 5.5 million units of the 12.9-inch iPad this year, and under 1 million styluses.
Styrofoam stylostites.
Those things.
I've gotten asked this a bunch today. For those who don't know, I spend a good deal of my time on a Wacom tablet every day and create a lot of art for part of what I do for a living. And people are saying to me, "Whoa, is this gonna hurt Wacom? Does this present an actual threat to them?" And I would answer, if that stylus, either the chargeable or non-chargeable stylus and whatever third-party styluses come out, if those are good and create enough sort of pressure sensitivity to create enough preciseness and interest among the artist community, it probably won't replace big standard Wacom Cintiq desktop production style displays, but it might well replace people's portable devices they may be using now to get sketches down and things that they may go do post-production on work later. So I'm actually very much looking forward to this. If they can nail that, that is a huge boon to what I do, but it will not replace that kind of hardware. So just wanted to throw that out there. Lots of questions about that today. Hopefully those people are listening. And if you are, hello. Speaking of wistful things, enjoying their last day in the sun, 9 to 5 Mac also hears that Apple is planning to simplify its retail experience and relocate iPods to the accessory shelves. Oh, no.
Scandal.
That is very scandalous. Traditional Apple products are kept behind closed doors and brought out to consumers on purchase in a swift, flowing motion surrounded by a chorus of angels. But now the iPod will sit on the shelves amid huddled masses of storage drives, keyboards, and lightning cables and cases and protectors and all that other junk. Apple will also remove the iPad 2s that gave customers product and pricing details and move that information to the gadgets themselves, which is very interesting, making the store look even more like a sleek and futuristic store, which makes the correct answer to Daily Jeopardy, what Johnny Ive thinks about on the way to work. Yeah, I actually think putting the info on the actual devices you're looking at, even if it means that Mac or that desktop or that whatever, or the actual iPad you're looking at, I think is probably a good idea and creates less confusion, because I know there are people that go in there and go, well, what am I looking at, this iPad or this laptop? And it's a little confusing. So it seems like a good move by them.
Agreed. Intel unveiled details on their Skylake series of processors. PCWorld.com reports that Skylake achieves power savings by incorporating an intelligent power management system called Speed Shift, which improves responsiveness when coming out of lower power mode and allows for more performance in lower power states. Skylake also has more efficient cores that handle more simultaneous instructions than previous chips, and embedded DRAM called eDRAM Plus, or EDRAM Plus, that stores recently used data and instructions in a fully coherent cache. eDRAM Plus can be sized either 64 megabytes or 128 megabytes, making the technology more widely available in a range of models, especially laptops. On the security front, Intel introduced software guard extensions and memory protection extensions, technologies that reduce effectiveness of malware isolating blocks of memory.
The Wall Street Journal's reporting that the Sony Vaio, you remember that thing? They were in all the movies all the time. Lots of product placement going on with the Vios. Anyway, this is their former in-house PC brand. You thought it was gone, but hey, look, it's making a comeback in the U.S. Vaio Corp. It's currently owned by a private equity firm. Aren't all old dead things owned by them now? Japan Industrial Partners, which plans to start selling laptops at Microsoft retail stores in the U.S. in October. Although the company currently sells laptops designed when the brand was still part of Sony, they will be adding in new designs. New machines will cost around 200,000 yen. Don't worry, that's only about $1,600 US. Also a little high still. Anyway, in Japan, and we'll start at about $21.99 here in the US. That's $2,199. That is kind of expensive for a new notebook. Anyway, the company also plans to add a document-sized laptop with cellular capability, which would eliminate the need for users to plug in a mobile data card or to otherwise tether their phone, and also into desktop PCs. Vaio first wants to attract graphic designers, photographers, and others who may now be using Macs.
Reuters reports that two phone carriers, Bharti Airtel Limited and Vodafone India, were among 11 companies selected by India's central bank to help set up payments banks, which would give millions of Indians access to basic banking. Payments banks can take deposits and remittances but will not be allowed to lend. The aim for payments banks is to piggyback on existing retail or other networks. The company selected will be given in principle approval for 18 months, after which they will be given licenses if they fulfill all conditions stipulated by the Reserve Bank of India.
No lending allowed. That's weird when you're talking about banks. Very strange.
Yeah.
Also opening in India soon, a YouTube space, just like they have in LA and New York and other places now. TechCrunch reports the facility will be located inside the Whistling Woods International Film School in Mumbai. And if you've ever seen a Indian movie, Bollywood style, probably something got made there, is my thinking. The head of YouTube Spaces in Asia Pacific, David McDonald, says India is seeing an emergence of new generation YouTube creators who are capturing the color, music, humor, and drama of India more creatively than ever before. In fact, India creators are now amongst the top contributors in Asia when it comes to driving time spent on YouTube watching videos. So, no surprise, YouTube expanding their base.
Yeah, and I'm actually really excited by this. I know that a lot of the listeners to my shows, a lot of them come from India, and the idea of them having a greater access to an ability to create content and share it is something that I'm really energized by, because I've seen so many of the fans of my shows go on to make their own stuff that this is really a joy to me. So I'm really happy to hear about it.
Yeah, and it gives them a chance to really boost the already growing, burgeoning followership of a lot of these bigger names over in India, just like it does here, and give them a chance to do some pretty interesting crossover work. And essentially, they're just duplicating the model that seems to be working pretty well for YouTubers here. So it seems like a good move for them.
Right.
Did you know that New Yorkers are fond of the Statue of Liberty? No? Well, let me tell you.
Most of them haven't visited it.
Hawaiians also like surfing. All right? Smiley face, pizza, trumpet. I'm talking about emojis here. USA reports that a study by SwiftKey, folks that made that thing I still can't use because I think it's crazy. Maybe I'm too old for it. I don't know. Analyzed more than 1 billion emoji typed into keyboards in the U.S., so Californians love the taxi emoji. Texans are fond of grapes. I would have said like a cowboy hat, but that's just the stereotyped decision I made.
People like grapes, Scott.
Yeah. Floridians are fond of people taking strange drugs and dancing on open freeways. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're fond of trumpet emojis. Sorry, I read that wrong. But best not ask too many questions about that one. Anyway, globally, the most popular emojis are the happy face, sad face, the hearts, and in the U.S., the most popular emojis were eggplant. I have a theory as to why. Birthday cake, and a slice of pizza. Where's the poop emoji? That's all I want to know.
Now we have one other story, Scott. Don't want to skip this one. Xiaomi unveiled its first MIUI 7, that's MIUI 7 version of Android in New Delhi today. The biggest feature is the incorporation of Opera's data compression technology to shrink mobile data usage in browsers and other apps by as much as 50%. The feature makes use of Opera's Max technology and is baked into MIUI 7 under the Data Saver feature. Xiaomi claims MIUI 7 offers up to 30% faster response time when launching system apps and a 10% increase in battery life for the average user. Other features include Xiaomi's Baby Album feature, which uses facial recognition to organize photos of a child in a dedicated album. 4 new system UI designs and tighter integration with Xiaomi's Mi Band wearable.
That line just got me. Which uses facial recognition to organize photos of a child in a dedicated album. Beep,
Yes.
beep. We will destroy your planet. Something about that. I don't know what it is. Got some news from you as well. SP Sheridan and Star Fury Zeta sent the Engadget report that the U.S. FCC has fined a company $750,000 for blocking Wi-Fi spots. The company is Smart City LLC, provides wireless connectivity for hotels, convention centers, and the like in Ohio, Florida, and Arizona, but customers complained that the company was blocking their own personal Wi-Fi hotspots while at these conventions. One would assume they brought, various MiFi type devices with them, and they blocked them. Smart City released a long statement that basically said, sorry, we did that, but we won't do it again.
Metal Freak sent us the Ars Technica report that virtualization software Parallels Desktop 10 for Mac and VMware Fusion 7 won't be updated for Windows 10. Both were released a year ago, and although Windows 10 will run on either, they won't be able to take advantage of Parallel's Coherence or Fusion's Unity modes. These modes allow the virtualized instance of Windows to have each application show up as a separate window on the native OS's desktop, basically making it feel like you're running one operating system instead of two at the same time. VMware says Fusion 8 will address the situation, and of course you can always buy Parallels 11, which has the added bonus of putting Microsoft's Cortana right on your OS X desktop before Siri. Trollolol. Indeed.
That's very trolly. Nice
Yeah.
going, guys. Hot Branch sent us the Hot Branch. What a great name Hot Branch is. Sent us in the Gadget report. One of the great ownership debates of our time has finally been settled. Gearbox Software, you know them as the Borderlands folks, has declared that is the full, quote, rightful owner of the Duke Nukem franchise. Not necessarily a badge of honor, in my opinion. Anyway. Previous rights holder and creator 3D Realms, a.k.a. Apogee Software, man, that's taking me back, relinquished all claims to secure the future of Duke after lengthy legal proceedings. No word on whether Gearbox will actually go ahead and make another Duke Nukem title anytime soon, but I don't know that Forever really did it for anyone, and probably we're okay waiting a while longer before we have any sort of inkling toward another Duke Nukem game, but I guess at least they can do it legally now.
Yeah, this is odd to me because I thought that the legal arguments was you take it. No, you take it.
Yeah. I mean, look, the original Duke Nukem 3D, amazing game, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
Boundaries, great fourth wall stuff, amazing game.
Lifted lots of quotes from the Evil Dead franchise. Was fantastic. Yeah. Great multiplayer, but yeah, that franchise went downhill dramatically. Well, finally, Funkaround sent us the Wired report about the software that helps noted astrophysicist Stephen Hawking communicate with the world. Intel created the ACAT, which is Assistive Context Aware Toolkit system that makes computers more accessible to people with disabilities by using visual cues in the user's face to understand commands. Now Intel is releasing the ACAT platform under a free software license so that developers can create more solutions for assisted computing. The software is PC only with no plans to bring it to Mac.
Interesting article to finish news out on because our discussion story is right along these lines, so I suppose let's get right to it. So I like the discussion story often because it's like, oh, we've taken one of the hot headlines and we've expanded it out into a larger discussion and platform for the show. But today we are talking about something similar to what we just talked about, but not quite. A brain-computer interface that reads your mind, Jonathan, and your emotional state, and then makes choices about the film you're watching as you make changes in your emotional state. I'll give you the exact quote here. The interface reads your emotional state, makes choices on behalf in a choose-your-own-adventure style film experience, actual film experience. Instead of making conscious decisions, this system determines which path best fits your mental state, and you watch as the film unfolds. They are calling it scanners, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Here's an actual quote from the creator of it. His name is Richard Ramchurn, I want to say is how you say his name.
Yes.
And this is what he says about Scanners.
Scanners is a film platform that uses live data from people's brains to cut and mix a film where you have an effect loop, a two-way effect loop, whereby watching the film, you change it and it changes you.
All right, it's a little vague, but on the surface, that at least sounds pretty cool sci-fi neato, right?
Yeah, actually, I looked into this a lot. I did a video about this, and which is not live yet, but it was a lot of fun to research. And the basic premise is choose your own adventure, but you don't actually make the choice. It's how you react to the film that chooses for you. So if you have a very even keel approach, the plot may just play out in the standard, the average mean or whatever response is. But if you have a heightened response, it may be that the story changes slightly. One of those branches gets triggered and the story goes in a slightly different direction. And as you react, that continues to branch down the pathway. So ideally, you would have a 15-minute movie where no two people who watch it really see the same thing. There's going to be some difference down the line, and it's all due to how they were responding to that. And they're using an EEG headset. It's got 2 sensors. One of them fits on the forehead, the other one on the earlobe. And they measure, well, the one on the forehead measures both brainwave activity and muscle activity. The earlobe one is strictly muscle activity, and the main reason is to filter out the muscle information so that it's really just responding as much as it can to your brain waves. Specifically, they wanted to target alpha brain waves, which are associated with wakefulness but relax wakefulness. So it's not like you are being you're actively focused on doing a task. That'd be more like the beta brain waves. And I think the idea there is that it's trying to tap into something that you're not consciously aware you are doing. But I love the idea that you could be watching something like a horror movie and you're thinking, no, you idiot, don't go through that door. And the idiot doesn't go through the door
Yeah. I mean,
because you're reacting that way.
here's my question about it. So I was trying to think of a good real-world example of something like this that already works in a more physical way. And the only example I could come up with was, oddly enough, Dragon's Lair from the 80s. So this is a Laserdisc game that had you running Dirk the Daring through a hallway, and when you got to the end of the hallway, you would need to make a decision. Do I go left? Do I go right? And you had to be very split-second about it. First, basically, it's the first example we have of quick time events in video games.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun, really cool. The whole thing's this big animated, beautiful adventure. You get to the end of the hall, you whack it right, and then he runs right, and that was the right way to go. If you went left, you were going to be killed. Or in some cases, there were branching paths, and you could go different ways. But ultimately, there was kind of one linear way to get through everything. You needed to know what it was, memorize it, spend a lot of money getting there, and then by the time you figured it out, save the princess, and you're done. This feels like that, except obviously more complex. You're not necessarily, well, you're definitely not making physical changes. You're making chemical electro changes in your brain that are going to make decisions for you. But if you're making your horror movie you're talking about, and you're saying, this guy's going to go into that room, every time that happens in a horror movie they die, don't go in that room because they've established this part of the movie so well that you've just got that intense, like, oh my gosh, dude, don't go in the room, that trope is terrible, don't go in there, you're going to die. Then that means that they've got one other scene filmed, because this is film, mind you, that says, oh, the brainwave said that we have interpreted that as saying don't go in there. And then he doesn't, he goes someplace else. But what if your brain said, go back and get the axe off the wall I saw hanging there on your way in, then go in there? What if your brain says, go back out to your car, start the damn thing, and drive home because this was a bad idea in the first place? Do you see what I'm saying? Like the infinite possibilities are impossible to replicate. So I wonder just how deep it goes. I mean, they talk in the article about how they had to film, they had to do the equivalent of like a full feature film with lots of B-roll for a 15-minute experience. And the reason for that is for all these alternatives. But do you worry that at some point in this process you just run out of paths to take?
Well, I mean, there comes a point. I mean, anyone who's created a choose-your-own-adventure style story knows that you have to, at some point, put a limit on those choices. You have to figure out the branches. Sometimes branches will converge, and so you can actually take 2 different pathways and end up at the same scene 5 scenes further down the line. So there's ways where you can converge those, and then you would diverge them again. I think really the sophistication of the EEG is limited. It's never going to be a point where it's going to know what you are thinking. It's really only going to measure the activity of your level of your brain, not what that activity means necessarily. So the interpretation has to be, all right, well, we're seeing a spike in neural activity at this point. This is what we're going to do whenever a spike happens at this point in the story. We will go left instead of right. If there's not a spike, we go right. And that simplifies things a little bit. You still have to do a monumental amount of work to accomplish one film, as you say, in order to make this happen. But to be honest, I mean, this guy is really an artist. He's an artist and a filmmaker primarily, not a technologist. So he's doing this as a way of saying, look at a cool way where technology and art and the human experience can all interact. It's not necessarily meant for any other practical application, although I would argue there are practical applications for this kind of approach if you want to continue down that road, particularly in things like virtual reality implementations, video game implementations, perhaps not to the point where it's consistently monitoring you for the entire experience, but maybe at key moments it does, and realizes, hey, we need to ratchet up the intensity so that we really get this person engaged with the story that's taking place in the screen in front of them, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I guess I need to see it in action to understand how binary or non-binary the kind of Boolean answers of yes or no are, and how that all works. He does say that the rhythms of the editing and the way the film jumps from scene to scene depends on the mindset of the person watching it, and this is largely, he says, out of their control, meaning the person's control.
Mm-hmm.
That part is very interesting to me because it's less of a choose-your-own adventure, and it's a let an adventure happen to me without me being able to really choose anything.
Yeah.
Because if this thing's just responding to, he's having a high stress response, the EEG is reporting high stress response, go left, he's calm now, go right. If that's really all it's doing, and you can't really predict where people's heads are at or what levels trigger it or whatever, then in theory, if you have enough sort of granularity in how many different scenes can take place, then you're talking about a very different experience every time somebody sits down to that thing. And even the same people may have a different experience at night versus the morning, or a week before they did it again, or whatever.
Or even 2 times in a row, because now they have an expectation of what they're going to see, which might mean they become more complacent, which could actually change what they see.
Yeah, and so my final argument with this is neat and all. Great, go for it. Let's see this happen. What needs to happen next is somebody needs to, this guy maybe, whoever, take this technology, which kind of already exists in a medical way, put this stuff and get this hooked up to an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive or something to that effect, so that you've got actual VR experiences, which you can represent with polygons and data, right? And that that polygonal world, having that change based on your brainwaves is far more interesting to me, because now you can literally change the world, not have to film it 50 different ways and only have 50 finite ways it can go. You can now have infinite ways it could go. It basically becomes a fractal generator.
Honestly, I would love to see the classic farce comedy Clue remade with this technology, so that the way you respond determines which of the characters in Clue did it.
I like that idea. Or just how confused will Mr. Furley be at what he's hearing in the room next to him, or whatever. I think these are all great ideas. Anyway, feedback always welcome on subjects like this. I think this is fantastic and pretty excited to see where it all goes. We got a pick of the day. Andrew from Athens, Georgia. It's in your neck of the woods, man.
That's right. I went to school in Athens.
Oh, very cool. It's also the home of REM, is it not?
It is. It is the home of REM and the B-52s and tons of other bands.
Well, there you have it. Big scene happening out there in the 90s. Anyway, 80s as well. In a previous episode, a completely reasonable joke was made about MapQuest's expense, or at MapQuest's expense. But I want to let everyone know that I have been using the Android app for a couple of months, and I find it to be genuinely good alternative to Google Maps. It pauses directions so my phone stops bugging me when I stop for gas. That would actually be kind of nice. It can add a location along the route if the nearest gas station or fast food place isn't on the way, and supports for alternate TTS voices, just to name a few. There are some other downsides, however. Ads, mostly for hotel chains, and traffic information is slower to update than it would be for Google Maps. It lacks the access to my data that Google has, so search results are less prescient, and the movement of the current location icon is pretty jerky if you watch the screen, but I am a very satisfied user, and I think the Android users in the DTS community should give it a look. That's interesting, and I think I may have even been on the episode where MapQuest was getting some heat. But it wasn't so much heat as it is just they innovated in so many ways, and then Google came and took their thunder.
Sure.
It's what Apple did to the Diamond Rio with the iPod. It's what, I don't know, I can't think of any other examples, but where these companies come in and perfect a thing that somebody else was sort of already doing, but didn't quite have the vision or the money or the whatever, or the wherewithal.
Or the platform. I would argue the smartphone just so dominated our interface with maps. Before that, I don't know about you, Scott, I had binders filled with MapQuest printouts because it was before you had a smartphone. So you didn't really, you couldn't necessarily have a laptop open with an old, MapQuest showing that. You would actually print out the turn-by-turn directions.
No, I remember wasting a lot of printer toner just to get that thing printed and take it in the car with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you forget how different that is now. I mean, it's such a different world. I had my Palm Pilot, but it wasn't connected to anything. It wasn't like pulling data from the cloud. So yeah, times have changed, things have changed, and honestly, the idea that MapQuest still persists and is still a good option, that makes me happy to hear that. If you have your own feedbacks to send into the show, send them to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find Tom's picks over at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. We have a message of the day, which you send to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. John, take it away. What do we got?
Sure. Mark W. from Tech Connected Detroit writes, everyone is curious why Google would produce a Wi-Fi router. Do you think it's possible that it might be in support of the new cellular Fi service? Comcast is creating a Wi-Fi blanket for its customers using its routers. Might Google be doing the same?
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I mean, I think I would trust and like a router that came from Google, and my guess, given their vested interest in Nest, which is, I guess, now a spun-off company, but still, all of those things lead me to believe that whatever device they want to put in my home or on a portable thing, like in my car, for example, those technologies are likely going to try to tie into their other initiatives with getting fiber laid and getting Wi-Fi services and Google Fiber being done here in Salt Lake City, in fact. I may be able to tap into some of that way. Like, I don't know if any of that's true, but it seems likely, and I trust Google with that. I don't know who their hardware partner would be, but that's enough for me, just for the brand, so I'd be in.
Well, Scott, I too welcome our robot overlords.
Alphabet, give us what we want.
And we have another message, and CDN Dude 74 wrote us in our subreddit. Thank you to the contributor who recommended Podcast Addict for Android. This app instantly replaced my older app. It's easy to use, easy to add podcast via search, and most importantly, has a listen at 1.x feature. I was sure that I would never be able to listen at greater than 1 times speed, so never bothered with that function. But after Tom mentioned that he is able to listen to more podcasts because of this feature, I had to try it. I was shocked at my brain's ability to adapt to a faster audio speed.
Yeah, the part you don't... Tom and I argue about this every time it comes up. And
Yep.
We would be fighting about it right now if he was here. I hate cranking the speed up, and I've done it to experience it. The problem isn't so much that it's like it's like taking speed itself. When you come down, everyone's in slow motion, and that's terrible. So
Scott, I live in the southeast. How do you think it feels for me, buddy? We literally cannot hear as fast as other people talk. Okay.
You're telling me you can't get in the Walmart line and set that whole thing to 1.5 speed? Is that what you're telling me?
If you were to listen to a podcast at, let's say, 1.75 speed, which is what I tend to listen to my podcasts at when I'm editing them, and then have a conversation with, I don't know, anybody in the Southeast, you feel like you have been dipped in molasses.
That's a good point. My wife's from Mississippi. It all goes real slow down there. Anyway, we love those people, though. Feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com is the email address. Keep those coming, you guys. Tom loves them. I love them when I'm here on Wednesdays, and everyone loves hearing them. Big thanks today to John Strickland, who is here. John, what do you want to plug, man? What's going on in your world? What's happening?
I'm going to plug howstuffworks.com, Scott, and I'll tell you why. If you ever wanted to demystify the entire universe, howstuffworks.com is the destination for you, because we actually love to tackle all sorts of topics. I'm the tech guy, so I handle computers and electronics primarily, but I also do some, futurism type stuff, and occasionally some pop culture, some conspiracy stuff. We have tons of different podcasts that cover all sorts of topics. The two that I do are Tech Stuff and Forward Thinking, which is also a video series. But we've got lots of others, from Stuff You Should Know, which is our most popular show, Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, our conspiracy show, Stuff Mom Never Told You, Stuff You Missed in History Class. We've got all these podcasts covering different interest areas. They're all fantastic. My coworkers are some of the smartest, funniest, and nicest people I know. Can't recommend them highly enough. Go check it out.
All right, that sounds good to me. And you can take his word for it. His parents used to write Star Trek novels.
So that is true.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. Want to thank the 5,031 patrons who support this amazing show that Tom has put together with all his hard sweat and tears. His hard sweat and tears. Don't even know what that means. If you want to support the show, and I know you do, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Oh gosh, where else are we here? Come at us, 512-59 daily. That's the phone number. Leave a message. Listen to the show Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. on player.alphageekradio.com. Visit the website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Tomorrow, Justin, Robert Young, and Andrew Main. We'll see you then. This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
And see.
Great show!
Yay!
Not bad,
Sorry,
eh?
I cut you off. And scene.
And scene. No, that went really good.
Yeah, I did banner on my bingo card.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
Ah, crap. I was always hoping you wouldn't have gotten a hold of one
I
of them.
got Scott trips over an email, show-stopping technical difficulty in the pre-show,
Uh-huh.
and there was one instance of Scott plays the wrong clip, and it made me so happy. It made me feel such a part of something. It was so great.
It's all part of my live to hard drive lifestyle.
It's fantastic.
You
It
know
was a
what?
great show.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you were to host again, like the fill-in host on an episode, would it be weird if you did that live portion, like get more at frogpants.com?
Oh, I totally.
Because it's your voice.
Yeah, I totally could do it. I've got the music without my voice. I could totally do it. That'd be
Do
fun.
it.
Yeah. I'll do. All right. I'm taking his challenge. Anything.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great.
That's a good
Yeah,
discussion.
you guys are awesome. It's a good Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesdays are always good. I always. They're sometimes the slowest news days.
There's no news day like our Wednesday, like no news day I know.
Oh, you want to hear? Okay, here's my Ethel.
Yeah.
This is Ethel Merman doing what's his name? Fred, B-52 guy. What's his name?
Fred.
Oh.
Rock Lobster Fred. I don't know.
Yeah.
Him. Anyway, this is him. This is her doing a part of Love Shack. Ready? Here we go.
Okay.
I got me a Chrysler. It seats about 20. So come on.
It still sounds a lot like Fred Schneider to me.
Your joke box money.
I could do.
Oh my God.
You look swell. I'm telling you, the same people basically.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had a friend who did for karaoke. He did. I fought the law and the law won as Fred Schneider.
Oh, nice.
And the best part was, she's the best girl that I ever had.
Oh my gosh.
Oops, sorry, just testing. Everything works.
So before we get too far into the land of Ethel Merman and here's to the ladies lunch,
Yes.
we are going to pick a title.
Right.
So your options are mindful movie editing, which I really like. The only title that I think could possibly be chosen, which is Binders Full of MapQuest.
That's at the very end of the show.
I love it. And You Bali Tube, I really like.
Oh, that's good.
I do like a hot nukem. And I do like Choose Your Own Emotions.
Yeah.
But I really do think that what other universe would we be able to say and use as a title, Binders Full of MapQuest?
Yeah, it's pretty good. If I have an argument in my head, it's between that and Ubolitube, because Ubolitube is fun to say.
Yeah.
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 But I
That's
feel
tough.
like, here's my argument for Binders Full of MapQuest, is that it is the particular poetry of a live show, right, where it just happens and it comes out of someone's mouth and you just go, whoa, that was amazing.
I'm so glad that there's a medium that is recording those moments
Oh, no.
so that I have proof that they occasionally happen to me.
No, but it's just like every once in a while your brain puts together things in a certain way and it comes out of your mouth and it's just magic. It's like poetry. That's actually what the best poetry is sometimes when your mind puts two things that are totally asynchronous together.
Sure.
It's awesome.
It's
So-
what separates us from the machines.
That's right.
I put the whole recorded thing in the chat just now,
Oh, great.
so it available, not the chat, sorry, in
Slack.
in the Slack. And so
Oh.
if that ends up sounding better, you're welcome to use that. If you've got your own version that's better than that, go ahead and use it.
Yeah, why don't you download and take a look?
Yeah. I mean, I'll sound better, but I don't know. about the rest. John sounded
Baby.
pretty good on my end. Oh, get out of that. Anyway, and I have that saved in a wave if for some reason something needs to get fixed or whatever.
Cool. Well, thanks, Scott.
You know how it is. I'm all
You're
good.
all part of the team.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else is going on?
God.
Who can we impersonate next?
Oh.
I don't do good impressions.
I do terrible ones. Like
I used to do a good George Lucas, but I don't do it very much.
yeah, the Christopher Walken I do is really more of someone who is okay at doing a Christopher Walken impression. I'm doing an impression of that person.
I see.
Let's hear it. Tell me my fries are done or something. Give me something.
Let me do the Shakespeare bit because that was a lot of fun. I once auditioned as the role of Hotspur in Henry IV Part 1. He's essentially one of the antagonists. And when I did research, I found out that Christopher Walken played him at Shakespeare in the Park, in Central Park, in the early 80s. And it just blew my mind. So here's my impression of someone doing a bad impression of Christopher Walken doing Henry IV Part 1. So some Shakespeare. Here we go. But for mine own part, my lord, I could be well contented to be there in respect for the love I bear your house. He could be contented. Why is he not then? In respect for the love he bears our house, he shows in this he loves his own barn better than he loves our house.
It's magic, baby, magic. All it needs is more cowbell.
Cowbell, yeah.
That's why I don't need to.
That's
so
why
I don't need to. I don't need to quit my day job. I realize
I'll
that.
tell you what, that's pretty awesome. It also just is the window into the secret life of Jonathan Strickland, who can just like randomly quote Shakespeare. It's pretty awesome.
I can do that, and I can do a little bit from Hamlet.
Yep.
Because I played the part of Polonius. I think I've done that on this show, actually, where I've done that as a bit, yeah. I've got a long, sordid history and performance.
Sordid Shakespearean history.
Also, I used to be able to do the full opening of Clockwork Orange.
Wow.
There's me, that is Alex, and my three droogs. That's Pete, Georgie, and Dim. Dim being really dim. We were making up our Razoo docs what to do on this evening, and so this whole.
Oh my God!
We're outside the Moloko Milk Bar. It's one of those mestos. Oh my brothers, you may have forgotten what these mestos were like. Things changing so scory today, and people quick to forget. But they sold milk plus something else. You could drink it with Synthmesk or Drincom, or you could drink it with knives, and as we used to say, for a bit of dirty 20-1, which is what we were peating that very evening. What's it gonna be then, eh?
Oh my gosh! Bravo! Bravo!
I was in a stage production of that, way back in the day.
Fantastic.
Strickland Community Theater in here. This is
community theater is about the level I can do.
awesome. Holy crap.
That is awesome. Oh, I should take this moment, as I said I would do in the post-show, to remind everybody that I will indeed, for no good reason at all, other than Scotty Rowland asked, be doing an AMA after the Daily Tech News Show post-show ends. And I have no idea how to do it, but I assume Scotty Rowland will find me somewhere and tell me how to do it. How to do the AMA.
Yeah.
So you can ask me questions about the Daily Tech News Show, about, I don't know, the Daily Tech News Show. You could ask about CBS News or Yahoo, or what it's like to work with Tom every day, or what it's like to work with Roger. I don't know. Ask me anything.
That's pretty good. That's what an AMA stands for.
Yep. I know that much. That's at Reddit.r/Daily Tech News Show.
So on those AMAs, are you required to like just answer those questions, or can you say like, I better not say? Kind of.
I am not the authority on Reddit because I've already been shadow banned and unshadow banned and blocked and unblocked.
There's a term for it. Reddit.
Yeah.
Because like I know way too much stuff about people that probably shouldn't be mentioned ever.
Well, then we should get Roger on
No.
for an AMA.
I was just curious.
Anyway.
The big question will be, Roger, tell us about your time at GameStop or Spot.
GameSpot. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They got upset the last time I mentioned something, so I'm gonna keep my lips closed.
See, that's like me and a little company called Discovery. watch myself when I talk about Discovery.
I for the life of me have pretty much that is a giant black hole of which I cannot discuss until I reach 50.
Nice.
And then I'll write a tell-all book. I'm close to writing a tell-all book about tech TV. So much dirt.
Like an
Oh.
oral history of tech TV?
So much
Yeah,
dirt.
I actually need to get you on tech stuff to do a segment. I recorded a segment with Tom a couple of months ago, actually, about tech TV. I'm trying to put together the story of tech TV,
Okay.
just kind of to give people an idea of the whole like roller coaster of what tech TV was.
And it's interesting because I wasn't there when they actually conceived of the idea in the channel and the lead up to it. I actually started as an intern a week and a half before the network actually launched, and that was on Screensavers and Call for Help. So it was a very interesting view from that perspective. I didn't actually get to hear a lot of it or see a lot of it until a year later, where all the fun bits come out.
All right,
Like how I got my
post.
job. Like the real reason I got my job. But I can't mention that either. See, the more I think about it, the less I should open my mouth.
Did I hear Bryce say the magic words that he's out of the
Yeah.
post?
Out of the
He's out of
post.
the post.
Oh, awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and somebody please show up to my AMA so that I don't sit there quietly with no questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ask her all of the questions.
Ask
All of
me about Garbage Town, the new
Uh,
podcast I incubated. That's live.
If people ask you about calculus, if they ask you calculus questions,
I will say I do not understand calculus. Thank
Jenny,
you very much for
if
asking.
they ask you a calculus question, take it to the limit.
One more time.
Take it. Oh, I love that.
All right.
You know
well,
what? Just give them a link to Wolfram Alpha.
everybody, yeah, right. Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much, John. It was awesome.
This was a lot of fun, guys.
And
Thanks.
we'll see you next time Tom's out, which I hope will be never. Oh my God. Come back, Tom Merritt.
So you're saying you hope I never come back? Got
No,
it.
I actually want you on the show with Tom.
Oh, excellent.
Because you do such great work without him, but it seems sort of rude to keep inviting you
You guys
back when
could
he's
do
not here.
dueling Christopher Walken in
Yeah,
person.
that's right.
That's true. We can just do the like
Alone on a stand.
Tom will be like, "Hi, we lost a bet," and now the entire show is Christopher Walken.
all right, goodbye, YouTube.
Bye.
Bye.